A simple tori ki sabji today for lunch. This is very nutritious, very simple to prepare, and this vegetable is abundantly available during summer. This is rich gourd, but in many places they also call it tori. And tori is sponge gourd and this is rich gourd, but the texture of both the vegetables is very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and peel it, slice it up in the center. It's so tender, there's barely any seeds here. And I'm going to chop it up to small cubes. Don't cut it very finely, otherwise it will just mush up and totally become invisible in the sabji. So just cut it like the way I'm showing it to you. Along with this, I'm also using one bell pepper. This is fresh from my garden and very crunchy, very fragrant and totally organic. I've just cut these bell pepper and the rich gourd. Along with this, I'm going to cut 2 tomatoes. The taste of tomatoes in this vegetable is really delicious, so don't skimp on it. And today I'm using onions, but if you don't want to use onions, you can totally skip it. I'm just using half of an onion and I'm going to just dice it to small cubes. These are the only few ingredients I'm going to use. Take a kadai. I'm going to heat up about 2 teaspoons of oil. I'm using peanut oil. Add a teaspoon of cumin seeds, jeera, and once it pops, add 2 red chilies. This is for flavor. Again, it's optional. If you don't want to have spicy, you don't have to add this. Now we'll add the onions and make sure to saute it on a medium flame. And I always profess to cover and cook so that it cooks faster and it will also avoid burning. When you cook it covered, it will make sure that the moisture is intact and the vegetable cooks in its own juices. So I'm just going to cover it and cook it for about 2 minutes. I've not added any salt yet. At this stage, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and turmeric. Turmeric is about a 1/4 teaspoon and salt about a teaspoon. Just saute for a minute or two and it's time to add the tomatoes. Add the tomatoes, saute for a minute and cover and cook so that the tomatoes start to wilt down. The vegetables, the gourd varieties of vegetables like the bottle gourd, the tori, the sponge gourd, these are all rich in water. So if you add too much salt at the end of the dish, it will become very salty. So always hold off on adding the amount of salt to the dish, and towards the end just check before you serve it. Here, after the tomatoes have cooked for about 2 minutes, I'm adding the tori. Mix it well and I'm going to cover and cook this for about 3 minutes. Now tori has a lot of water in itself, so I'm not going to add too much water, just maybe about half a cup, just so that all the vegetables can start cooking down. And I want a semi gravy in this end result, so just add a little bit and I'm going to cover it and cook it for about 4 minutes on a medium low flame. You can notice that the tori is starting to cook down. Along with this, now I'm going to add the spices. Here goes about a teaspoon of coriander seed powder, just about half a teaspoon of chili powder, and about 1 teaspoon of kitchen king masala. This is optional, but I just like the flavor of it. Mix it well and I'm going to cover and cook this for about 3 minutes more so that all the vegetables cook down. Sauteing for about 2 minutes and then now I've added the bell pepper. The total time taken to make the sabji was about 10 minutes to 12 minutes. Now because I want a little bit of gravy, I've added another half a cup of water. I'm going to just mix it all well. I've tasted for salt and it is just perfectly fine. And I'm going to cover this and cook it for about 4 minutes on a medium low flame. The sabji is almost ready. You can see how well the vegetables have cooked. At the same time, they've not lost their shape. You can still identify the vegetables that's gone in. These gourd varieties should never be cut very small, otherwise they'll get very mushed up and you won't identify them in the sabji. Now this is the consistency I like it, and I'm going to serve it with some fulka. And today I'm making the ragi and wheat fulka. These sabjis goes excellent with hot fulka or parathas, but in our house fulka has always been the favorite. Before serving, just sprinkle about a 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala and fresh coriander leaf and serve it. Here I've taken 1.5 cups of wheat flour, 1.5 cups of ragi flour, a little bit of salt, some kasuri methi. Mix it and add warm water slowly and make it a soft dough. And allow this to rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we can get started into making them into nice and hot fulkas. Always make sure to oil the dough so that it doesn't form a crust on top. I'm going to cover it and allow it to stay for about 15 minutes before I'm going to make the fulkas. I'm using a iron tawa here, and these are my fulkas, and they fluff up really well and they're very delicious, but they're very heavy. So about 2 per person is a great option for lunch. Along with this, always make sure the fulkas are topped with some ghee and serve it the way I'm showing you here. A cup of sabzi, a cup of yogurt and some cucumber on the side. This is a simple meal, a very tasty meal, easy on your tummy. Enjoy this recipe, like and subscribe my channel. Follow me on Instagram and let me know how tori ki sabji turned out for you.